Good morning and welcome to everybody. This is the one-day workshop on drilled shaft inspection. So we're going to all be in this room together the rest of today, and we're going to talk about nothing but drilled shafts. So what could be more exciting than a whole day of talking about drilled shafts, right? Okay. So we're going to start off this morning with some introductions. So the three of us will introduce ourselves, and then we're going to go around the room and let you tell us a little bit about yourselves, if we can get this correct. So my name is John Turner, and my colleagues with me today, I have Paul Axtell and David Graham. So I'll let Paul just tell you a little bit about his background.
Sure. So I'm with Dan Brown Associates, same as these two guys. I've been with them for about 10 years now. Participated in a lot of the bridges up in Minnesota, starting with Lafayette and all the way through Hastings, St. Croix, a little bit of work on Dresbach, Winona. An unfortunate one was Shakopee and Paul Pilarski back there, but it's in service now. So yeah, done a lot of bridges in Minnesota and looking forward to Red Wing.
I'm David Graham. I'm a geotechnical engineer with Dan Brown Associates. I've been with them for about 6 years. I've worked on some Minnesota projects like Hastings, St. Croix, Highway 53 up in Virginia, and Red Wing as well. So.
And my name is John Turner, and I'm a senior engineer with Dan Brown and Associates. And prior to that, I was a professor in civil engineering at the University of Wyoming. So I think we have some Wyoming graduates here. Carl, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you. So did you take me for any classes?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. My last
Foundations.
that was my only B I got that semester.
You got a B?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty good. How much did you pay me for that? No, okay. No. Yeah, it's great. You know, when I go around and meet somebody that graduated and I had in class, it's just really good to see them doing so well here at MnDOT. Okay, so and yeah, I was going to mention I've worked on one project in Minnesota with these guys, the TH53 bridge, which we had a great time. So just a brief outline of what we're going to talk about today. So we are, like I said, we assume there'd be some people with, don't really have any experience with drilled shafts. So David's going to give a presentation on what are drilled shafts? Why do we use them for bridge foundations? And then we'll have an overview of, there's a wide range of construction methods, okay? There's a lot of ways to skin the cat to build drilled shafts. And every contractor has their own means and methods. So we'll give an overview of that. Same thing with the equipment and the tools. They're just a wide range. We'll try to focus later on today on some of the tools that we would expect to see on the Red Wing project. And then a real critical part of drilled shaft construction is putting the reinforcing cage and the concrete in the ground. We're going to build this thing in the ground. And so there are a lot of items as an inspector that you need to be aware of. Then after that, we'll have a brief lesson on, why is inspection so important? And if it's so important, what is your role out there? So then we'll get into the more nuts and bolts items, starting with what do you need to do before the project even starts? And then we'll talk about, going out and verifying and measuring and inspecting the contractor's equipment and the tools. We'll talk about what are the things you need to look for when the shaft is actually being excavated and when we do the final clean out before we put in the steel and the concrete. And then what are the items that you need to be aware of and inspecting when they're placing the reinforcing cage and the concrete. And then a real area that's become just more and more important after the shaft is built. What kinds of measurements and tests can we do to make sure that what's in the ground is what the design engineer, so what Paul intended when he designed that he did all the calculations and came up with the plans and the drawings for the foundations. Okay, and then we'll wrap up with some question and answer session. And just a few comments, and speaking to Rich, said about questions. Okay, so our philosophy here today is it's very informal. We know that you learn the best when there's a lot of interaction, so we're going to try to elicit a lot of interaction with you. Hope you'll ask a lot of questions. Some of you in this room going around, you have very valuable experience, which your younger colleagues can benefit from and which we can all benefit from here today. We always, when we teach these things, I always come away, I learn a lot from interacting with state DOTs, inspection companies like SEH that do this kind of work. It's just fascinating kind of stuff. We actually do love talking all day about drill shafts. And so hopefully you'll come away after this Red Wing job and you'll all be experts. Just pointing out a few other resources that are available to you and which I would encourage you to try to take advantage of. There's the drilled shaft manual, which is published by the Federal Highway Administration. Lots of good information in there about both design and construction. NHI, that's the National Highway Institute. It's part of FHWA. They have an official 4-day course on drilled shaft inspection and a manual that goes with that. You can go on their website and get that manual. So those are great resources for anybody interested in more information. There's the AASHTO bridge design specs. And then, of course, the Federal Highway Administration and your MnDOT engineering staff here who have a lot of experience and knowledge are valuable resources for you.